people want us to talk about it. So I was like, okay, why not? Let's take the topic as communication relationships. So, like you remember, Aman, people were asking me so many questions last time related to relationships.
Quite a few, yes. We had quite a few
Yeah.
questions.
So I thought, why not do something like that? And so tell me, Aman, if you have to sum up, what is a relationship for you? What is the definition of relationship for you?
I think a relationship is really a shared venture. You know, the way two companies merge and then they become Disney Hotstar, right? It's
Yeah,
Disney and it's
yeah,
Hotstar. So
yeah.
a relationship is a shared venture. It's not something you own or not a single proprietorship concern. All right.
Right.
So it's really about shared goals, shared values, shared experiences, and
Right.
shared truths. Okay.
Right.
So I think a relationship also has to be negotiated. And it's not something you discover. It's not something you discover on a catalog. It's not something that you find while going down
Yeah.
for your walk, isn't it?
Right. Definitely.
So a lot of people
It's a
want,
process. It's a journey, I would say.
it is a process. It's a multi-fold process. And it's a
Right.
protest, I'm saying. It's not a protest. It's a process that you have to, it's kind of like you discover it at the same time as you build it, while
Yeah.
at the same time you carry out repair work, isn't it?
Right.
Because
Right.
all relationships go through that turbulent weather period, like on flights
Yeah.
when your plane starts shaking and you that's the only time you start remembering God. So
Yeah. True.
in your life when you're on a plane. So I think a relationship is really about also being able to figure out how to get past those turbulent situations,
Right.
and it's about give and take. It's not just
Right.
about what can I take from it, what can I get from it. So I think that would be the classical definition of relationship,
Right.
in as simply as I can put it.
And also, I follow Matthew Hussey, if you have heard of him.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, so,
he's
so
quite
I
popular.
really loved the way he, says that great relationships or the best relationships are made in the mud. So
Hmm.
that really struck me. I mean, that's like the truth. Like people think relationships are all these glamorous things, going out, chilling out, and just like this. Like social media has made it. It's made it like the perfect relationship or the perfect date, or everything is perfect. But there is another side to it, like what it takes to make it perfect.
No, absolutely, and
So
I like this term
yeah,
that they're made in the mud. But I think a lot of
yeah,
life is made in the mud. A lot of life is made in the mud, and you have to
right.
swim through shit to reach the other side, which is hopefully the end of a rainbow with your little pot of gold. But
Yeah,
in life, everyone swims through shit. And I think
true.
if you can't avoid swimming through shit, you might as well be comfortable with the smell of shit, because that's what life
Yeah,
is. Really, it's learn
true,
how to
very
swim,
true.
learn how to be okay with the turbulence, or be clear with yourself about the fact that maybe you're not prepared for a relationship, maybe you're not uh,
Yeah,
willing to give it what it needs, right?
right.
For example, pet ownership, huge topic, huge debate on should we feed street dogs or no in my building today morning on our building WhatsApp group. Really,
Okay.
for a lot of people, it's very easy to feed a street dog and think that you have done your punya. But if you ask those same people to go and make sure that the dog gets adopted, gets his shots, accompany him to the veterinary hospital in Parel, people will say, nahi, nahi,
Right.
nahi, nahi, nahi chahiye. Or you say, take that dog and keep him in your house. Nahi, nahi, humko nahi chahiye. You throw Oreo biscuits at his face and you have done punya. So this is what I call a very surface level approach towards your passion for animals. Similarly, in relationships,
Yeah.
people have a very surface level approach to this entire thing. They feel like, it's like throwing biscuits at the dog's face. You throw good
Yeah.
morning messages, khana khaya kya messages, I miss you messages at someone's face on WhatsApp, and you call that a relation. that's not
Yeah.
really the case, is it? I mean, there are so many layers to a relationship. Really, it's not just about these warm and cutesy things that you say to yourself. It's not just about posting photos. It's not just about sweet nothings whispered at night. It's
Hmm.
about the ability to stand together when things get rough, when things get tough, when things get ugly.
Yeah.
Not just
Yeah.
necessarily between the two of you, but also between y'all and the rest of the world. Yeah.
It's also that, but few people I have seen, they are fine with, relationships which don't have depth. And like, I feel that each relationship, not only with, your partner, but should have depth. It cannot be a surface level relationship. You need to do something to nurture it. You need to put in efforts. You need to put in your heart and soul. Otherwise, it's not going to yield those results. It's more about building that trust, or building that connect with someone, and that cannot be possible in maintaining those surface level relationships. So yeah.
I learned a new word this week, Neha. It's called a situationship. So it's kind of,
Situationship. Okay.
it's kind of like, oh, we're exploring this, but at the same time we're open to other people. But we are talking, but
Yeah.
we like each other, but we don't like each other. But do we like each other? So this state of ambiguity that many people are living in uh, is becoming more and more comfortable for them. But here's the
Right.
thing, as you said, it's really depth is a beautiful thing. Really, you can't take a gun out and say let's have a deep relationship. Chalo, let's make it deep. It has to be deep, or else it's not a relationship. You can't force that. Let's be deep. Let's be deep. Oh my God, let's be deep. That also gets cringy. Depth is discovered over time, which is why your relationship
Yeah.
needs time to breathe. All right. It's like if you pour a glass of wine, you don't just drink it like it's ruh afza. You swirl it, you smell it, you observe it, you see the thickness. All right. You say something pretentious.
Yeah.
That's the experience. That's the beauty of having good wine. You
Yeah.
don't drink it like thumbs up.
True.
So that is important to remember. That is important to remember that in relationships, it's really about all these little things, that no one usually would do.
Yeah.
A one night stand and be done with it, then that's not really a relationship, is it? Or if you're going to be in a
Right.
relationship just to show your friends that you are likable, or the fact that, oh, look, I'm in a relationship now, I have something interesting to do, or I'm in a
Yeah.
relationship because it's the right age, or because my family
Yeah.
wants it, or my friends want it, or because all my friends are in a relationship, so I don't want to be the odd one out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be the one who's left in the lurch. यार मेरे पास ही नहीं है सबके पास है अरे वो बॉयफ्रेंड है वो की चेन थोड़ी ना है कि सबके पास है मेरे पास नहीं है Don't commodify another human being. If they are with you, it's a choice they have made to be with you. If they're not with you, that is also a choice. And everyone will make choices for themselves to either benefit themselves or to really bring some focus to their endeavors. And sometimes you may not factor in as a part of their choice making, and that's
Yeah.
okay. That means nothing about who you are as a person, but that means everything about what they want for themselves because of who they are as a person. Otherwise, you're one of those people. Depth. Let's have some depth. God damn it! I'm gonna get some depth out of this relationship if it's the last damn thing I do.
Yeah.
Depth is negotiated. Depth doesn't take place at
Right.
gunpoint. Depth is not just about love, it's also about generosity. It's about giving of yourself. Depth is about sacrifice. Sometimes giving up what you want because it means your partner wanted something else, and maybe instead of eating Chinese food, she wanted to eat a pizza. You go and have pizzas, even though you don't like pizzas. It's about giving up sometimes what you want. So it's about giving up sleep. Sometimes if your partner is not well, what are you going to say? What it's very common. I think Neha has paused. Okay, Neha, we're back. If your
Yeah.
partner is unwell, if your partner is sick, you're not going to just abandon your post, right? Tell your partner, go live with your mother, or, go and figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to be there. So it's about really attending to your partner's needs while also that being done for you. But nowadays, what happens, Neha, is a lot of relationships become competitions rather than collaborations. So that's the problem.
Yeah.
वो competition हो जाता है. How many times I did this? How many times you did this? It becomes like bookkeeping, accountancy. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out, or whatever the hell it is. You know why? Why can't you guys talk to each other and figure things out together instead of expecting the other person to be a mind reader? So commonly this happens in relationships. Everyone expects mind readers. Everyone expects clairvoyance. Next thing, you'll expect your partner to have powers of telekinesis, to be able to move objects with their mind. It just doesn't happen. So, your relationships are your problem, your responsibility, but they're also the opportunity you've been given to really show what you're capable of. It's a lifetime audition tape of your talents, and these are talents of basically how humane you are, how empathetic you are, how inventive you are, how creative you are, how romantic you are, how thoughtful you are, how patient you are. It's an audition, isn't it? Because your partner is constantly looking at you like, Acha, let me see now. Let me see what's been going wrong. Why is this person not doing what he or she was supposed to do? So you're always on the stage, always playing a role. It's a role you don't retire from, the role of a partner. You can retire from the role of a parent once your kids have grown up. You cannot retire from the role of a partner. क्या समझे?
I got it, but what if I completely agree to this? But what if one person is decisive and the other is indecisive? So, one person, if that person wants to make it work, but the other person is not that certain.
Well, it takes two to tango. You can't force someone to be amenable, right? You can't force someone to cooperate. So if someone has
Right.
decided that they don't want to cooperate or they want to dictate the terms of the relationship, or that they think that you don't have the intelligence or the wherewithal to know what's best for this relationship, then that's not just an undermining of the relationship, but that's an undermining of your intelligence. तो आप बेवकूफ हो ये समझा जा रहा है. You are being looked at as some kind of fool. So then the question is, why are you in that relationship? Is it because you're getting used to the lifestyle and the husband or wife is from a very rich family? Or is it their legal action being threatened? Nowadays, women also putting fake dowry and marital rape charges on their men for all kinds of reasons. You didn't do this, you didn't put the name of our new house in my name, so I'm going to now do all this, create danga for you. A lot of this stuff is happening. A lot of swindling. The families get
Yeah.
involved. A lot of videos are being taken and shared on family WhatsApp groups. A lot of ugliness related to child custody is taking place. So much tamasha, you know. So you get to decide if the relationship is working for you or no. I said this, I did a webinar before our talk as well. I said that anything that makes you uncomfortable enough to ruin your sleep, anything that makes you uncomfortable enough to ruin your peace of mind, to mess with your schedule, anything that really makes you unrecognizable to the people who care about you, whether it's your friends or your colleagues or your family, anything that does that is probably not good for you. I mean, you have all the signs. The problem is not that you didn't have all the signs available to you. The problem is that you ignored the signs and tried to say chalta hai, adjust kar lenge, kuch nahi, sabke saath hota hai. I will learn to deal with this. Or I only must be wrong. There's this voice in our head that constantly warns us when we are either about to do something really, really poorly thought out, or we're about to do something that is extremely lame. For our own goals, there's this voice in our head that says, bullshit, bullshit, but we don't listen to it. Usko mute pe dal diya hai humne. This ability we all have to be practical and rational. All of us have it. And you know when this ability is at full display, Neha? It's when people come to us for advice. कैसा advice देंगे? वाह! Sadhguru bhi chup ho jayega. He'll be quiet. Such lovely advice. Oh, you must nurture your relationships. You must. It's a collaboration of desires. अरे बोलना आसान है. खुद पे जब आफत आती है, तो कहाँ चला जाता है? Why do you
Yeah.
sacrifice your sleep to talk to your partner when you know you have a long work day? Why can't you be assertive, saying that call me at a better time because I'm not available. Hey, we want to bend over backwards. We want to accommodate their bad habits, and then we want to say, "Oh, look, no one appreciates what I do in this relationship, or no one cares about my needs." Did you state your needs? You did not. You expected that the other person imagines what your needs are, and then through some magic, they should suddenly become a lot more well adjusted to your personal standards, which may not even be realistic standards.
Cool.
Give yourself a break, man. Be reasonable.
And yeah, and there's a difference between being tolerant and being ignorant. Like you mentioned, ignorance. There's a
Yeah.
huge difference between that. Like we often ignore things, and ignoring is something that you are seeing it, but you just tend to cancel that out, like cancel that thought. And tolerant is like you're just taking in, and then in a way you're just complaining. So I think tolerancy and then being ignorant, these are completely two different things. And I think the latter is what we always do, ignoring everything, or ignoring maybe any red flags that could be coming. But we choose to ignore because maybe we don't know in the future if we can get someone better, or it's better I stick in this. So that
जो मेरे
that
पास
kind
है
of,
जो मेरे पास है उसी में adjust कर लूँ मैं, that kind of thing, right?
yeah.
No, I know what you mean. And ignorance is a problem because I think dating is still considered like the forbidden fruit in India. Very, very popularly, if I may add. If you see American culture or European culture, Western countries, not that Western countries, if some people get very, अरे जो Western countries ने किया तो मतलब वो सही हो गया. No, but let's get a couple of things straight. There's some stuff that they're doing which is definitely working. And I think one of the things that they're doing which is working is they don't micromanage their children's lives. The parents, they don't breathe down their children's necks. It's okay to go to prom when you're 15 years old. It's okay to have a date. In fact, parents find it sweet and cute that this is almost a rite of initiation for you to discover your sexuality. You feel more like a man or feel more like a woman. It's considered to be very sweet and special, and the parents become a part of it. India में कैसे लड़का पसंद आया है, हो तुमको तो पढ़ाई के लिए भेजा था, तुम क्या करके आई हो, मुंह काला करके आई, इसके लिए तुमको कॉलेज भेजा. It's so archaic. This feels like those movies that used to play on ZTV when I was growing up, 1960s की movies. कि अपना मुंह काला करके आई, and then everyone in the family stands in one line and they all say their dialogues one after the other.
Yeah.
एक औरत की इज्जत. Come on, man. What year are we living in again? So the idea is we have to normalize dating, and we have to normalize even making mistakes while dating. We have to normalize falling flat on our faces, because how else will you learn? How else will you learn? For example, if you're learning how to drive, you're going to press the brake really hard at the start when you haven't figured out your clutch brake combination. Even if you drive automatic, it's going to take a while before you know how much of a sweep you need to take while reversing the car. But after a certain point, people can even drive when they're drunk. They shouldn't, but they can, because it becomes part of their body mechanisms to sort of just keep themselves in the car seat. So you have to be fair to yourself. Really, there is a learning curve involved to anything in this world: swimming, dancing, cooking, and being in a relationship and dating. So families in India need to normalize dating and need to become a part of the process, so that it is not treated like some kind of menace. And then what the problem is, because it's treated like a menace, people are so ill prepared for dating. They're so ill prepared that they end up being ignorant, and because they are ignorant, because of that lack of preparation, they end up making mistakes. So then that whole thing you just said about ignorance and tolerance, why are they pushovers? Because they haven't been taught how to not be pushovers. Why are they ignorant? Because they have to hide their relationships from their own family. Therefore, they're ignorant. You get them to do something that they are good at, they won't be so ignorant because they've had practice and training. Tuition teachers itna hum laga dete hain. Imagine going even to an affluent family and telling them that send your child who's 16 years old to a dating coach to improve his or her prospects at landing a life partner with whom they can really be happy. regardless of which community that person is from. How many parents do you think will spend money? How many parents will even spend 100 rupees on a dating coach's services? That's why there are not too many dating coaches out here. That's why all the wisdom you get is from Goras or white people. Nothing wrong with what they have to say. Matthew Hussey is actually quite nice. I quite like his videos. But the fact is that why is there a dearth of information? Why are there not enough brown skinned people talking about it? That's why you called me, because I'm talking about it. I'm addressing the elephant in the room. So those are my thoughts. They're too radical for you, or you don't agree. Oh, that's too bad. This is what I think. There's
I
nothing you can do
completely
about it.
agree.
All right.
Also, one thing is that we all have expectations, from relationships, which is completely fine. That's how we function. We have something or the other. We expect something or the other from the other person. But I came across this beautiful concept of it's a book by Gary Chapman, The Five Love Languages. I'm sure you must have heard
Well
about
known.
it.
It's very well known.
So I
Acts of
was just going
service,
through that
etc.,
concept,
etc. Yeah. Words of
and
affirmation,
it's so
acts of
lovely.
service. Yeah.
So it's so lovely that you have these five concepts and it makes you understand the other person the way he wants to be understood. So, like,
Yep.
there is that words of affirmation, acts of service, then gifts, then quality time, and touch.
Yep.
So, I think once you understand what your partner wants from you, it'll be much easier for you to give that to him uh, during during the times when he needs you the most. So knowing what kind of actions or what kind of love language that partner can reciprocate to, I think that can help a lot.
That's right. I mean, if I start reciting a poem in Japanese for our audience here, unless one of my friends in Japan is tuning in, they're unlikely to understand, even if it's the most famous poem in Japan. Or if you go to Shibuya crossing and start singing Jana Gana Mana loudly, people are going to think you're a crazy man. No, unless there's an Indian out there who will suddenly stop and start showing uh, respect to the national anthem. But here's the thing: these languages, the love languages you speak about, they're a very, very good tool, and you can just Google it. Those of you all have never heard about the love languages, I'm sure they're very self-explanatory and very easy. You don't have to read the whole book. There are images on Google also. But what you said is very true. How your partner wants to be understood plays a key role in whether you are able to rise up to the task or the challenge to really understand them. Because what is a relationship if not two people trying to understand each other and remove obstacles and solve problems together and spot opportunities together and be honest with each other so that they can work towards a shared future that they have envisioned together, that they will share with each other. Maybe they grow old together, and that's the dream, right?
And I think they have an option also where two people can take the test. So basically that's the beauty of it, right? So if two people really want to make something work, they can do it together. They can just work things out. But only once you understand what the other person expects out of you, what action, what words, everything. It just simplifies the concept.
Absolutely, absolutely. जब तक आप बोलोगे नहीं, if you don't express what you need, what you want, and what makes you happy, you're unlikely to get it. And I think to a large extent, the way we are raised in, especially in a place like India, is it's a very hierarchical country. Really, there are the haves and have-nots. Not only are there socio-economic divides, there are also cultural divides. There are many Indias within India. So how a Gujarati household may bring up their child, or how a traditional Muslim household may bring up their child. Even within that, there's a difference between the Bori Muslims and maybe the Sunni Muslims. Certain values. So because we are so diverse, our challenges are diverse. And in my opinion, everything goes back to strong upbringing and good values that are given at a very early age. Because beyond a certain age, people are not going to really change dramatically or radically. Basically, what happens is everything then becomes a continuation of their previous selves. So, like a major uphaul becomes a challenge unless they go to therapy or to a life coach or some kind of wellness expert, or unless they're really, really curious about life. So they're watching TED Talks, they're watching Hussey, or your favorite, Gary Vaynerchuk, to whom you send emails. And my favorite too, I really like it, no bullshit. It says it as it is, and really a great speaker. I've been watching Gary for many years, so I know a lot about his style and approach, and he's the Energizer Bunny personified. So it's really about finding someone who is on board with your visions, and you're on board with their visions. So there is a core difference of values, very core, that both of y'all are not willing to budge on, then that leads to complications. So you have to ask yourself, what are my values for being with somebody, or what are my values that sort of give me some structure within which I operate as an individual and also as someone who's a part of this couplehood or this relationship, as opposed to it being a situationship. किसी को left किया कि right किया कि wrong किया समझ में नहीं आया, isn't it?
Right. What about when people ask you to change? So, like, you should change, then only I can reciprocate, or you should change, then only I can take something forward, then only I can see a future. Is that for
Well, you
you?
cannot hold someone ransom that only if you change, I will. Like, for example, if a girl holds a guy ransom saying, only if you stop eating non vegetarian food to impress my family will I marry you, that kind of change might feel very personal. And this might be a guy who really likes his chicken biryani, who really likes to have fried fish. So he might be put in some kind of conundrum or a spot. So really the quality and the quantity of the change is important for us to, you cannot just generalize it that, all changes, if a person wants you to change, then they are matlabi, or they are, just in it for their specific criteria to be met. It really depends. So if someone says that, if I want to have children with you, I need you to quit smoking up in the garage with your friends. You guys smoke weed every time. I need to know I'm marrying a responsible man who can change diapers. That's a different kind of change, really. So does that man value her, perhaps reservations about him being a consumer of recreational drugs? So it really depends on the nature of change. So, like, sometimes people expect you to change by not meeting your friends, or by, like, I remember this couple had come to me, and the girl said he likes these Marvel movies. I keep telling him we should watch real cinema, European cinema, and I bought a movie membership. He doesn't listen, and we don't end up spending time, and he's always watching some crap on YouTube. Now she expects him to change. He likes Marvel movies. Yeah. Maybe they're not European award films, that you'll see at the Berlin International Film Festival or the Busan Festival or at Sundance. But Marvel movie is a Marvel movie. Yeah. It's like having a samosa. Not the most nutritious thing, but sometimes having a nice samosa with imli chutney is a lovely, lovely indulgence. So that's his indulgence. So what kind of change is expected? Are you expecting a person to completely change their personality? Or are you trying to troubleshoot and get them to look at certain habits that they are that they are slaves to, which are creating an imbalance in the relationship? So, as I said, change has to be negotiated, not dictated. Change has to be discussed and deliberated, not demanded. That's what I feel.
Few days back, I saw a video of Jay Shetty and his wife, basically. So Jay Shetty was saying that he loves football. So I could like how you said right now, I could recollect. He loves football, but his wife doesn't.
Yeah.
So once they went for football, his wife was getting bored. So then he realized that let's do something. If she doesn't enjoy it, I'll go with my friends. So that's not like she's disrespecting me. She's just not comfortable with watching football. And
Yeah.
I should rather watch football with people who can enjoy with me, who can have fun with me. So that's
Absolutely.
how that's how I think mature one should be. That if
Absolutely. Absolutely.
shared, I mean, you don't always have to share each part of your life. You can share things which you enjoy with each other. It needn't be a sport always which one person enjoys and the other person has to come just for the sake of it.
Yes, I completely agree, and I think it's really about finding the middle ground. See, y'all can be very different people, but then there has to be that one thing that connects you all, that one activity that connects you all. For example, my parents are very different people, my mother and father, but they enjoy similar type of music, maybe some songs from their era, so they listen or they sing. That's how they met. They went to the same singing class, my mom and dad, and then they fell in love, and then lo and behold, I'm here with a mustache. Okay, 34 years later. Okay, still alive, still surviving the coronavirus, just like you guys. So it's not about, you don't have to be joint at the hip just because y'all are a couple. She can go for girls' night out. Maybe she has a few sangrias and enjoys life. Maybe he wants to watch the soccer game or play PUBG or play video games with the boys, and that's perfectly normal. What happens when couples start getting into that little space is then acts of rebellion and lies begin. And once that begins, the relationship starts suffering. So if a husband has to lie to his wife about going to hang out with his friends, saying he's staying late at work, she finds out he's lying. She suspects he's cheating on her. When all he wanted to do was get a few beers at his friend's house, watch some soccer, and uh, maybe relax. But she may be suspicious by nature because she has seen her father cheat on her mother. So therefore, all men are assholes. And this guy then has to come back to a round of inquiries and interrogation. And then he says this woman is a bitch, so I'm going to lie to her even more. And then he says, अब मैं cheat नहीं करता था, मेरे को गालियां मिली, अब तो मैं cheat करूंगा. तो गालियां तो मुझे मिलना ही है. So then he'll become rebellious, and then he might suddenly have an affair, and he'll say that she pushed me away when I was just going to meet my friends and to have a beer and watch some bloody soccer game. So you see how these things begin. They snowball. It's called the snowball effect. They just get untenable. They just get monstrously difficult to manage if you don't give each other space. So such a wonderful point you brought out. Really, give space, take space. Because you all are not the same person. You all are together for the purposes of couplehood. But there are many things that she may enjoy that you don't enjoy. There are many things that you may enjoy that she doesn't enjoy. And that's okay. That's expected. That's okay. And that's normal. Don't try to clamp down on your partner's lifestyle in dramatic ways. Otherwise, they will find ways to escape you.
Right.
Right.
So, definitely. So, what do you think that, the way to communicate effectively in relationships, how to kind of, people are asking, can you please define space? So, before I go to this question,
Define space? Ask NASA.
yeah,
Oh, bad joke, bad joke, bad joke. Space is the ability to take time to do things that you need to do alone. Like when you go for a
yeah,
shower or to brush your teeth or to do your business in the morning, you're taking space, right? You're not doing it with five cameras pointing at you, right? कि left hand से अपने कान को साफ करता है कि right hand से करता है. So that is called taking space. I need this time for myself, for my activities, for me to maintain my new normal. Oh no, sorry, my old normal. I hate that term, the new normal. What the hell does that mean? God damn it.
so if you could give 5 tips on effective communication relationships, what would be those 5 tips to effectively communicate with anyone?
I think the tonality is very important. Be really cognizant of how you're speaking. If you're speaking in a very nasal tone, oh my god, you are like. Sometimes maybe your voice is like that. Or like in my case, I have a baritone, so I end up sounding angrier than I am. And I'm never some. I'm so lazy to get angry. I tell you, Neha, कितना मेहनत का काम है ना गुस्सा होना. I'm like, screw it, यार. किसको गुस्सा होना है यार? Just go in, everyone go home and relax, you know. So really be aware of how you sound. Your tone is important. Uh, you have to time your conversations. It's very, very important to time your conversations. You have to really ask the person if they have time to listen to your overture or your lecture. Otherwise, what happens is there's a very fine line between being you and being Al Pacino. So I always crack this joke with my mom. I say, Mom, I need to be Al Pacino. It means I need to talk constantly without being interrupted, and I have a large line of inquiry, or I have a large payload of words to sort of drop like a bomb. So I have to. So don't be Al Pacino. Only when Al Pacino is Al Pacino, it sounds cool. बोल ही रहे हो, खत्म नहीं हो रहा है. Like Modi ji's speeches. 1 घंटे के लिए बात किया, लेकिन वो बात 7 मिनट में हो सकती थी. And then you have to keep wondering whether he's saying Sathiyo or Mitro. What he starts with usually means good news or bad news. People make jokes about that. So keep it brief. Manage your tone. And be honest. Truth is very important also. Truth is very important. And another thing about communication is it has to be a very private affair. Like if you're going to start giving feedback to someone in the building lift, or you're going to start shouting in the compound, that's a gross disrespect of privacy, isn't it? I mean, then your need to do tamasha, or your need to sort of teach your partner a lesson is more important than the fact that you are looking to solve a problem, even if it's your partner's fault, even if they've done something really dumb, or they've done something really, really, unpleasant. You need to really respect the fact that they're still human beings with a right to privacy, with a right to have a desire to maybe explain themselves. Maybe they don't have an explanation, maybe or they have an apology, or they don't have an apology, right? So create a conversational space that is safe, create a conversational space that is private, and create a conversational space that is sensitive to the fact that two people with two very different personalities, sets of values, and very different sets of hormones are going to be talking. So it needs to be given that space and respect. And instead of trying to run around the topic, run directly towards the topic, but be careful where you're speaking. And if needed, invite a mediator of some kind, maybe a therapist, maybe an elder from the house. Sometimes the elder from the house is the worst idea possible. They'll add more drama. "God, तो शादी में मतलब ऐसे नहीं होता, शादी में नहीं होना चाहिए." They'll become so dramatic. Like I have this aunt who's extremely dramatic, and if she's watching this video, she knows who she is. So people are dramatic sometimes. It's okay. It's who they are. But you get someone dramatic to be a mediator, and that's going to be messy. So you need someone balanced, you need someone reasonable, someone intelligent, well read, someone articulate, someone who knows both the parties intimately, who knows their personalities, knows their history, knows their backstories to some degree of accuracy. हर चीज तो नहीं पता होती, but कोई तो एक तो मतलब वो it's not like it's not, what's the word, it's not a blind spot for them to be able to help you troubleshoot. They're able to really see where the problem is. This is what we as therapists do, है ना? We are like those mediators. We are like we play the job of like we are like United Nations. We are there to mediate. We are there to understand. We are there to hear the proposals from both sides, facilitate the apology, facilitate uh, the recovery, and to understand the nature of the transgressions that have taken place so that those mistakes are not repeated and people stop falling flat on their face. There's an avoidable kind of pain, and there's the kind of pain that just visits you because of negligence and maybe circumstantial pain because the economy decided to take a nosedive. So that's important to remember. It's very important to remember.
But
Calling my mooch Neha. That's what I'm doing. So looking. So Neha looks everywhere. Either directly looking at Neha. What's happening? So distracted, Neha. Your video will freeze again. What's happening here? उधर देख के बात
it's
करिए.
no. I was just
He's cute.
thinking.
He's
So
cute.
when you said about the mediator, okay,
That's right.
I feel if it's going on, if a third person has to mediate so many times, then there is some problem between the communication between two people. And if third person has to mediate, like so many times, that third person can also get irritated. Like why are they bringing me in between? So I think if you have to call the third person a lot of times, then that can be a sign that maybe your relationship is weak. You can't communicate with each other to sort out your own problems, to find a solution together.
Yeah, but that's the thing, no, Neha. All human beings feel weak at some point or the other, whether they're in a relationship or not in a relationship. The
Yeah.
idea is that a weak relationship is a byproduct of two individuals or one individual who is in that relationship feeling weak in that moment. And there's nothing wrong in feeling weak. There's nothing wrong in accepting that you're weak. There is nothing wrong in trying to find a way out of that position of weakness, because that's truly what life is about, isn't it? It's about finding your way out of a rut, finding your way out of a routine that's uh, kind of creating mischief in your life. That's what life's about. That is what life is about, Neha. It's about improving upon previous improvements. It's about understanding what you couldn't understand. It's about not repeating disasters that proved to be disasters only when you had some time to think about them after they took place. You cannot feel regret preemptively. You can only feel regret for something that has happened. And that's okay. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up, man. Don't beat yourself up. It's okay to fall flat on your face as a couple or as an individual. And to require help is not a sign of your relationship being weak. It's a sign of your relationship being challenged. The same way if you get a rash on your skin, if you catch a cold, or if you sprain your foot, or maybe you slip in the bathroom and you fall on your ass and you get a cramp, or maybe you have a stomach problem because you ate something spicy or too oily, or you ate too late at night, or maybe you burn your tongue while you're drinking hot water. Someone put on Instagram the haldi pani pina chahiye, so maybe you had water that was so hot, all your taste buds got burnt for that moment. It's the way our body has certain issues when it malfunctions or when it has an accident. Our mind and our attitudes are also susceptible to that same kind of wreckage, isn't it?
True.
Okay. Yes, it is true that if you feel your relationship is weak, it usually means that uh, your personal habits are either getting the better of the relationship, or your expectations are not being met, or you're not giving it your best shot. And therefore you need a little bit of course correction, a little bit GPS chahiye hota hai kabhi kabhi to find out where you need to go. That is what a therapist will do for you. That is what a lot of people, there are wellness coaches, hypnotherapists. Matlab, ab to it's become a flea bazaar. When we started the Heart to Heart Counselling Centre, we, as in my father and mother, 1986 mein, people didn't even know what counseling was. Now everyone calls themselves a mental health professional. But my dad started it in 1986 when no one was even talking about this stuff. No one even knew what counseling was. We do so many courses, and our courses are always full because so many people want to learn these techniques. They want to be able to help people because people need help. If people didn't need help, we wouldn't exist. Why is this called the human experience unless there are some humans in it? So by that logic, the only therapist should be a robot, isn't it? Who that is, or an app that has an algorithm and helps you answer problems. And I think especially at a time like this where we haven't left the house for months, a lot of people are not being able to make money. A lot of people's children have started acting up. A lot of people are losing their motivation to do interesting things. A lot of people are now left wondering, yeah, who are our real friends and who are our fair weather friends who are only there to come and finish the beers in our fridge. So people are going through there's a socio-cultural moral inflection point that we have reached as society. And that is a worthy reason to put a lot of people at this state of unease. So don't hide from your problems. Look at them and find ways to deal with them and get help if you need. Get help if you need. There's no harm in asking for help, no harm in going to a therapist. And you will find something. If you go to a good therapist who has a license, not one of those fake people, because there are many of those as well on Instagram and elsewhere, uh, make sure they have the right credentials, make sure they have a reputation. That will certainly put you on the right track to a good recovery as an individual or as a couple. And that in
It's
my
all
opinion, yeah, it's say what you're saying. Bolo, 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 bolo.
it's all about sailing through the storm, but
Oh
if
yeah.
you're only willing to.
No, it's not about sailing through the storm. It's about knowing about the mechanics of the boat, so that
Yeah.
you can sail when there is no storm, and then when there is a storm, you know about your starboard and stabboard, and you know about how the sails need to be moved to manipulate the wind resistance, or maybe they need to be taken down, or how you need to manipulate the boat. So it's not only about sailing; it's also about knowing the inner mechanics of your nautical vessel,
Right.
and that's why there's a science to the way the damn thing floats and how to. Now that's why not just anyone is made the captain. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's take in some few questions now.
Yeah.
So what people may have.
Anyone has any question,
Guys,
you can ask
yeah,
them. Now's a good time.
yes. Please write in your questions in the comments.
If you have, oh nice, this is thumbs up. Thank you, Vedantika. Harsh, thank you. Someone called half God, half devil has joined. I don't know if I should be scared or I should maybe ask them a few questions I've been having. Half God, half devil. I love it. ऐसे नाम देते हैं आप लोग. असली नाम रखो ना यार. ऐसी क्या बात है? ढूंढने में तो आसानी होती है. And I can't say this. In '97, I had created an email address. '97, '98 called the Millennium Boy or something. Don't even ask me why. It just I used to think the word millennium is fancy. So okay, I shouldn't be judging. Let us know how to build resilience. There's something that I read the other day about something called adversity quotient. So if you haven't gone through enough bad stuff in your life or adversity in your life, it's going to be very hard for you to build resilience. Resilience is the art of not getting phased by difficult situations. Rather, by seeing, like, don't see it as a problem, see it as an opportunity, see it as a challenge, and see it as, I like the word inflection point. It's a point from which new things can emerge. So resilience is really about a change in your attitude. So you don't see things as you don't see things as only unfortunate and painful and awful and adverse and pain inducing. You see them as there so that they increase your emotional stamina, so that they increase your ability to figure things out for yourself. Because there is a limited amount of support you will receive from your friends and family and even your therapist. At the end of the day, it's really about you. It's really about what you can do for yourself. It's really about what you need to figure out so that you live a happy life. To live a happy life isn't as simple as it's to do as it is to talk about. The Buddha left his house. He was a rich king. He was a rich prince. Then he said, you know what? I'm done with this shit. I'm done with the courtesans, with the dances, with the extravagant experience. I want to go to the forest and figure out what's the meaning of life. People go on journeys. Sometimes they travel. Now you can't travel, of course, because of the virus, which is unfortunate. But you can take a journey within as well. There are free resources on the internet. Not everything costs money, you know. You're not paying any money right now to attend this Insta-Live organized by Neha Upalekar. Okay. Of course, if you come to consult me, there will be charges, but there are so many free webinars I do. There is so many free TED Talks you can watch. There are so many short courses you can do. There are books. Amazon is taking orders again. Learn a new skill. When in doubt, always invest in a new skill. When in doubt, always try to build your network of people who are perhaps could also become knowledge partners with you. Because a lot of exchange of knowledge takes place on WhatsApp. Yes, WhatsApp is also a fertile ground for bullshit and fake news and arguments that go nowhere, but it's also a great place if you need to get connected or figure out things for yourself, especially during this lockdown period. So do not underestimate the power of technology. You can either use the technology to post cat videos and just bum around and be really lazy, or you could use the same technology. I have nothing against cats, by the way, but if you're only posting photos of, oh, look at my cute kitty, or look at my cute dog, or look at my cute guinea pig, or look at what I ate, and you're not putting any real value out there in terms of what ideas or perspectives really appeal to you. And that is a choice you've made. Not good or bad, it's a choice you're making, isn't it? So it's really about how many perspectives do you want to invite in, and how many perspectives do you want to um, introduce to your audience. Or the other, one way or the other, Neha, people are looking at us, and they're looking at us with very, very skewed vision, with very limited time, and sometimes people look at us with a lot of judgment. ये क्या इंसान है?
Zed Badiwala, could you tell us your question again? I saw your comment saying 3 questions. Yes, 3 questions.
Zed Wariwala, it's nice to see you again. She comes for a lot of my
Yeah.
Insta live.
Could you
So,
write the question again?
you're most welcome, Vedantika. You're most welcome, yeah. I'm just doing my bit to help, you know. I think if everyone just really wanted to help and was really earnest about it, we'd be living in a much more functional world today. I have a very strong desire to help in whatever way I can. And I don't think that makes me better than anyone else. I don't think that makes me smarter than anyone else. It just makes me who I am. I want to help. I want to try to give a little more happiness to people. How to stop reflecting parent love life insecurities and past experience of bad relationships. That Wariwala, this is a topic. Neha, you should screenshot this. This is a topic that requires its own Insta live. Let me give you the
Sure.
short answer. Your parents' love life is something that you have no control over. Your love life is observed in your house based on how your parents have been with each other. That template. Wait for Neha to come back. Neha, are you back?
Yes,
Am I
yes,
back?
yes,
Okay.
yes. I'm so sorry. My internet is acting a bit crazy
ये
today.
MTNL का इंटरनेट लगाया ना तुमने यही सब होगा और क्या होगा that way. So basically what I was saying is your parents' relationship with each other is a reflection of their values, the generation they come from, what they have seen their parents do. But you need not necessarily borrow everything from your parents without first putting it through your own little processing center. Because let's face it, your parents might also have some real dysfunctions in their personalities or in their relationship. So your relationship is whatever you want it to be. Your parents' relationship is whatever they want it to be. So really don't use that as some kind of permanent template. All right? Your parents are flawed. Don't ever forget your parents are flawed. Even though society may tell you to respect your parents, oh my god! If you don't respect your parents, what kind of person are you? You should be lucky, feel lucky that you were born in this family. अबे यार, choice थोड़ी था तुम्हारे पास कौन से family में आपको पैदा होना था. By that logic, we'd all be born and want to be born in Ambani's family, isn't it? Mukesh Ambani, not Anil Ambani. Okay, so, be reasonable. Let's be reasonable. How to draw a line in a relationship in terms of giving. Well, the line. You have to draw that line in your mind, not in the relationship. Uh, if you feel like the giving is only one-sided, or you are trying to rescue the person, constantly doing things for them that they should be doing for themselves. Like, are you completing your partner's homework assignments? Are you literally running their life for them? And that's the problem. If you're overly helpful, overly rescuing, overly supportive, and you are not letting your partner figure things out for himself or herself, then that is perhaps you being a parent to your partner rather than an equal, right? Life is not ideal, Neha. Uh, life is not ideal. Life is confusing. Life is not like some Hollywood movie, all right, where everyone looks good and has it figured out at the end. Because your life hasn't been written by some screenplay writer outside. Okay,
Yeah.
the screenplay writer is sitting in here, so you get to decide what story or what the story looks like.
It would be so better if you would be inclined towards, improvement and not perfection. It would things would be like so easier that if
A
you
lot
would
of
have
people
that
are
in mind.
lazy. A lot of people so lazy, lazy Neha, not what to do. So lazy, I don't want to change. Just want to sit and complain. Oh, the world is bad. Modi is bad. Coronavirus is bad. People in my society are bad. The weather is bad. Life is bad. Food is bad. Chicken is bad. People in China are bad. Modi is bad. बोलना कितना आसान है तो बोलते ही रहोगे बैठे रहोगे कुछ
True.
करोगे
Um, as you said, it's necessary to know the needs of partner. What if the partner himself don't know himself? When you ask him what makes you happy, he'll be blank. What if this person himself doesn't know himself?
Well, then that just means your partner is not someone who is very reflective. and not someone who thinks about life, about the bigger questions, about his or her personality traits, about his dreams. And a lot of people are very shallow, but that's because they've not had the exposure or they've not suffered enough. Suffering has a strange way of forcing you to delve deep into these